We're on the campus of Oral Roberts University inside the Mabee Center for the 5A Boys State Tournament. It's the 75th annual state tournament. And in our first game this weekend, we feature the second-ranked Union Redskins. Winners of 15 in a row and 20-5 on the season. Their most successful season ever under Bob Cleland. And for the Mustang Broncos, they are ranked number 5, winners of the Metro Conference out of the Oklahoma City area. They, however, stumbled through the playoffs, make it, however, to the state tournament, and take on the Redskins. Hello again, Don King along with J.V. Haney as we get set. We've seen Union quite a bit this year. They have 3 very good frontline players. About 60-65% of their scoring comes from their frontline players, led by junior Chris Hayes. He and center Ryan Eshelman, all-conference performers. How about Mustang?
Mustang has got the biggest team in the state, Don. You know, they go like 6'8", 6'9", 6'7", 6'4" on their front line. This is going to be the thing that Bob Cleland's going to be worried most about. How's he going to stop their big front line? At the same time, their guards shoot well. So we may see a combination of defenses from Union, but I think the key for Union is the fact the kids are accustomed to playing here in the Mabee Center. They won the Tournament of Champions last year. They were in the state tournament last year. They should feel comfortable, and that could give them the edge.
Head coach is standing by. State tournament unveils from the Mabee Center when we continue on United Artists Cable, Channel 3.
This United Artists Cable exclusive presentation is brought to you in part by Oklahoma Junior College, by Arby's, by Children's Medical Center, by the Williams Companies, and by Eastern Oklahoma Orthopedic Center.
Welcome back to the ORU Mabee Center side of the 75th state tournament. The finals will be held Saturday. We're visiting with the head coach of the Mustang Broncos. Tonight's opponent for Union, Brett Close, in his first year as the head coach of the Broncos. Tell us a little bit about your background, Brett.
I was the assistant at Mustang for 4 years. This year, Coach Valerius, who I worked with, he went to Panhandle State University, and I was fortunate enough to move into the head job.
Your first year as a head coach, you take your team to the state tournament. It's got to be quite a dream.
We had a nice year. We got a good bunch of kids. It was real nice.
Now, your ball club is the tallest team coming into the 5A tournament. Tell us about your players.
We have 3 post kids that will rotate. Start out with 6'8" Gary Hightower and 6'7" Aaron Seymour. We'll have a 6'5" kid, Bill Craig, that'll come off the bench and help us some also.
Now, have you seen this Union team any?
We scrimmaged them early in the year, and we haven't seen them since, but I know they're a good club.
What are you going to try and do, would you say, to try and stop their offense, because that's really the name of their game?
Well, you know, it could be offense against defense tonight. We kind of pride ourselves in our defense. We feel like we must stop Hayes, first of all, and then Usherman inside, he's another tough one to stop. We'll see if we can man up and do some damage.
Well, good luck to you. I guess the eastern side of the state always roots for the east side, the west always for the west side. Good luck to the Mustang Broncos tonight.
Thank you.
Brett Close, the head coach of the Mustang Broncos. We're ready for the starting lineups in just a moment, but first, JV has the head coach of the Redskins.
Thanks, Don. Standing by with Bob Cleland, the head coach of the Union Redskins. And Bob, when we get ready for the quarterfinals of the state championship tournament, I know it's a big event in every player's life. It's a big event in a coach's life. But you were here last year. That should give you an edge as far as the kids being not afraid, not uncomfortable in the Mabee Center, but just ready to go to work and win a state title.
Well, you like to think that your strength of schedule gets you ready for a state tournament late in the year. And you know, we played an awfully tough schedule, but looking at some of the earlier games today, you never know. We have a lot of kids that got to play last year in the tournament, and hopefully that'll give us a little poise.
The thing that's going to bother you most will be the big size team that Mustang brings in here. A huge front line. What are you going to do to stop them?
Well, we're going to have to jam in the inside a little bit. They're the biggest team in the state tournament, and not only height-wise, but they're very physical players, so we're going to have to take away the inside and hope they don't hit on the outside, or then we might have to try to make some adjustments.
You know, you mentioned the tough schedule that you played as we looked at the Oklahoma 8 and the Frontier Conferences, both of them extremely tough this year. but yet we look across the state, this might be the most balanced 5A field I've ever seen.
I think it is since I've been back in Oklahoma, JV. 8 nice basketball teams, and it's going to be who can play consistently.
Well, it's going to be a good one tonight, Bob, and the best of luck to you.
Thank you, JV.
Bob Cleveland, the head coach of the Union Redskins. Stay with us. Don King up in a moment with the starting lineup.
In the state tournament for the second straight year under Bob Cleveland. This year they've won 15 in a row, a school record, and 20-5, a school record. They got here by defeating Bartlesville, their arch rival from the Frontier Conference, in the area championship game 69-62. The fourth-ranked Broncos of Mustang are here with a 23-3 record. Conference champions out of the Metro Conference in Oklahoma City. They lost to Putnam City and then had to come back and get a buzzer beater to beat Westmore 38-37. Contrasting styles here, JV.
Really contrasting styles, Don. The fact that Mustang is so large, it's going to be a key just how Union attacks the back line, the front line, rather, the height of Mustang.
Well, here's Chris Hayes up against one of the top defenders in the 5A league, Scott Glover. Hayes for a 3. Offside rebound. Hooper. Ryan Hooper, one of the guards, along with Don Walker, number 11. It's 2-0 Union.
And Union's opening here in some full court pressure. Looks like going to be a zone press, and by doing this, they can maybe just kind of neutralize the height, Don.
Seymour misses the cripple, gets it back after Eshelman couldn't handle the rebound. And then a foul by Keith Moore at the baseline. Johnny Johnson, our inside official, who goes to the scoring table to make sure they get the number right. And Kendall Cujo, our other official from Oklahoma City area.
For the first basket there, the Union got a great move inside there by Brian Hooper. Just really got down low and got a good offside rebound for an easy basket.
Heath Sr., number 4, off to Glover in the corner for 3. Eshelman, who I think needs to have a big game, especially rebounding, gets the carom. Hayes gets the basket. And Union's off and running, 4-0.
And a nice pass in there by Eshelman to Chris Hayes.
And then Mustang throws it away. Are you surprised by the Union pressure in the backcourt?
No, I think, Don, that's exactly what Bob Cleveland had to do. He couldn't just play half-court basketball with this group. A lot of people have done it. That's why their defense is probably the lowest in the state in 5A. Under 50 points a game they allow.
The winner of this game will have the challenge of playing Norman, who've been in the finals the last 2 years. Keith Moore at the baseline, cut off by Seymour. A little zone defensive action. Walker to Hooper. Inside they work it to Eshelman, and a foul call on 6'8" Gary Hightower. He's an interesting looking character for a senior in high school.
Not only, Don, is Hightower 6'8", but when you get a good look at him, you can see him in there, number 41, doing a little pushing from behind, and his hands right in his back, but he goes about 240.
Union, 4-0, the score. They have the lead, they have the ball. Keith Moore at the top. To Hooper, who got a first basket of the game. Guarded by Shane Webb. Here's a shot in and out. Hightower with the rebound. The miss by Moore. He flips it to Glover. They're on the run. Webb can't find anything inside. He gives it to number 50, Seymour, their leading scorer. He travels with it. 6'7" senior forward. Commits the second turnover and as many trips down for the Broncos. 6:23 to go, opening period.
Here we find Mustang right back in more or less a semi-pressure situation, man-to-man, so maybe they're looking to run also, Don.
Union with a great front line, most of their scoring from the front line. Hayes loses it out of bounds as he was double-teamed, sandwiched by Seymour, number 50, and Glover, number 12. Mustang fans like what they see, and there are a host of them behind us.
And Don, it doesn't take but just a second to look at both ball clubs and realize that both teams are exceptionally defensive teams playing good, sound, fundamental defense.
The previous 3 5A games have not been close. Norman defeated Sapulpa by 17. Edmond beat Washington by 17. Bartlesville has just defeated Putnam City by 11. Here's Moore on the outlet to Hayes. I thought he was going to pull up for 3. Pulls it back out. Guarded by Senior. Walker at the half-court line. And Moore wants to rotate things. Off to Hooper. To Walker. Smallest guy on the court at 5'6". Almost lost it. Hayes fadeaway. He hasn't hit one yet. Rebound Seymour. Off to Heath Senior. S-E-N-O-U-R. Averaging 6.5. Off to Glover. Air ball. Eshelman with another rebound. Hooper, they are running. They're pushing it up, and a foul by Glover as he reaches in. This Scott Glover, you see there, commits his first foul. Coach Close told me he is a sleeper on his team, JB, and Defensive Player of the Year in the conference 2 times, 2 years in a row.
And wasn't much doubt about that foul. Just really reaching in, Scott Glover was, and picks up a foul that, from a coach's standpoint, those are the little cheapies that you just don't want your players to get.
Inside alley-oop, Eshelman couldn't get it, gets it back, misses it, gets it back again, and finally his foul.
Is that an effort for you?
Man.
I mean, you know, we've seen this all year out of Ryan Eshelman. Just get on the glass and stay there. Trying to get back up between those 2 6'7", 6'8" people. It's awful difficult to do, but he just keeps fighting and keeps fighting. And second time until he draws the foul. Great effort.
Glover commits his second personal in about 5 seconds. Third team foul, and Eshelman, an excellent free throw shooter at the stripe. Eshelman had a great game against Bartlesville in the 4th quarter last week in the area championship win. 19 points, a dozen of those in the 4th quarter. Got great rotation on his free throws for his first 2 points, and Union leads 6 to nothing rather. And there's your clock.
And Union out of their pressure now. They're back into what I call their yo-yo defense. Basically, it's a 1-2-2.
Seymour rebound outlet. Eshelman, he traveled with it. He got crossed up with teammate Brian Hooper, and thus the turnover. With 5 minutes to go opening period, Bob Cleveland, head coach in his 23rd year overall as a head coach, 6th year at Union. Mustang hasn't scored the first 3 minutes of the game, and as I say that, Jason Canary, their top field goal shooter, comes in and busts one and closes it to 4.
Mustang does an excellent job defensively, Don, to be such a big ball club, but they're all seniors, so they should be able to play by this time.
Tommy Strickland, number 22, in. They'll go about 8 deep. Eshelman with the nice pass inside from Moore, and it's 8-2. Eshelman has the last 4 points for Union.
I like what Bob Cleveland's doing. This time he comes back with full court pressure. Not just a fanatic type pressure, Don, but just good, consistent pressure. That's how you gain control of the tempo of a basketball game.
Again, the winner of this game to take on Norman. Long range 3 for Heath Senior. First 3 of the game. It's the 5, and Union turns it over.
Visiting with Britt close before the ball game, Don, and he said they really were not a three-point shooting team, but when you took a look at Senior putting that one down, looks to me like he knew what he was doing.
The Broncos' first trip to the state tournament, JB, since 1976. That's a drought. That's a long time.
The girls have been here frequently, and I think have won 4 state titles in about the last 10 or 12 years.
Nice pass inside from Jason Canary. Inside, I think it was Seymour. It was, and it's 8-7. And they went the first 3 minutes without a point, and now in the last minute and a half, they cut it to 1 and tell that 3 by Chris Hayes.
It was very fluid motion that time by Chris Hayes. He takes the ball on the far wing and just kind of squares up with his rhythm, and you knew it was down when he released it.
Wide open. Shane Webb for 3. Back-to-back trays for the Broncos. They cut it to a point again. It's 11-10. They were down 6-0. They've shaved it from 6-point deficit down to 1. Hayes, nothing doing, throws it away. Seymour with the steal. Off to Shane Webb. He's senior. Cross court. Jason Canary, their top shooter. Air ball. Walker with the rebound, and he'll push it up. 3-on-2. Nice pass. Cooper off the glass. Won't go. And a foul after the shot on Mustangs, number 4, Heath Senior. The senior guard whistled for his first, and the 14th foul on Mustang.
Union doing an excellent job of getting the ball down under control and getting it down quickly.
Walker, 5'6", senior guard, point guard, averages 6 per game. Off to Hooper, averages 7. So they don't get a lot of offense out of their backcourt players. They rely on the frontline players. Eshelman had it knocked out of his hands, out of bounds. Union was 5-5 going into the meat of their schedule, and they reeled off 15 in a row. We happened to televise the first win of the 15 in a row, and a couple more during that streak against Jinx. And a great game against the Trojans, and they really took off. Moore with some garbage. And that's where Union will beat you a lot of times, JV. They get a lot of garbage around the basket.
They do, and that was a nice backdoor cut in there by Brian Hooper. He couldn't quite get it down, but Moore at the right place, and here Hayes comes up with the steal.
Moore in the paint, triple team, flips it back out to Walker. Keith Moore had a great game against Bartlesville. He kept them, he really got them started when they had Eshelman and Hayes had trouble in the Bartlesville game last week early. Eshelman steps out of bounds. Brett Close, the head coach of Mustang, when you introduced me to him about an hour or so before the game, I thought you were putting me on. The kid looks like he's probably about 27, 28. He was an assistant at Mustang 4 years before Scott Valeris, who headed to Panhandle State. As you see his competitor tonight, Bob Cleveland, looking on. But Brett Close, the head coach for Mustang, 27, 28 years old. He looks like he just graduated from high school.
And what a way to break in as your first year. Coming in here 23-3 and a chance to win a state title.
Webb, he's hit one, misses that 3. Hightower with a big rebound. And they cut it to a point again. It's 13-12. First quarter winding down as we get ready to conclude the quarterfinal action of the 5A Boys State Tournament from ORU. And Chris Hayes drains another deuce. He's got 7 of the 15 points.
And that's real tough. If Eshelman comes out and sets the pick for Hayes, he can take the 3 or give it to Eshelman as he slips inside.
15-12 or 16-12 to score. That was a 3, the last shot by Hayes, and Hightower comes right back. I beg your pardon. It is 16-14 now.
Hightower showed us a little range that time.
So Hayes has 8, Eshelman 12 with a 16. The Broncos are on the run. They could tie it for the first time or take the lead. 30 seconds left. You see the clock winding down, first quarter. And Mustang will hold it up. Free throws could be interesting in this game. Both teams hit about 65%, 66% of their free throws during the season. About average for high school. Well, so Papa took it on to Chenda Norman. Washington got thumped by Edmond. There's a 3, and to close out the first period, the Broncos have taken the lead. With a 3-pointer. And after 1 quarter from the Mabee Center, opening round of the 5A tournament, as you take a look at the buzzer beater from Jason Canary, who hit a buzzer beater just like this to send them to the state tournament. Welcome back to start the second period. Mustang gets the ball back even though they scored the last point.
And you know, they had 3 3-pointers there in the first quarter. They were 3 out of 5, and Coach Close telling me that they don't shoot threes. Now, Coach, come on, tell me something now.
Hightower from 15. Oh, he's got some range. Coach averaging 7 points in the season. He's got 6 already. And Mustang has their biggest lead of the game at 3 points, 19-16.
Mustang shooting quite a bit better than Union in the first quarter. They're 44%. 60% from the three-point area as opposed to Union's 33% from the field, and they had 2 out of 3 threes themselves.
You surprised by the shooting?
No, I expected them to, I really didn't expect Mustang to go outside like this, but I expected Union to shoot this way.
Eshelman underneath.
And that's what they've got to do. They've really got to get the ball in. Eshelman has got to get the ball and be active around Gary Hightower and maybe try to get him in a little foul trouble.
Hayes had scored the last 2, 4, 6, 8 points for Union until that basket by Eshelman.
Union out rebounded the Broncos 9-5 the first period, even though they're giving away several inches.
The Broncos saw Union score the first 6 points of the game. Since then, they've come back to outscore Union 19-12. There's a 3 by Webb. Wow. They've got 4 3-pointers in the game. Webb has a couple. I think he was pulling your leg.
The next time Brett Close tells me they don't shoot outside, I'm not believing it.
Hooper tries his luck. He rings up a try, won't go. Rebound. Canary off to Heath Sr. And Mustang, who owns a 4-point lead, has the rock with 6:25 to go, second period.
Was talking to Bob Cleveland earlier this evening and talking about how he was going to stop the height, and I asked him if they were able to hit outside, and he said he had not seen them in the games he'd scouted. He'd not seen them shoot the ball much.
Seymour buries one on the turnaround. He's got 4 points. He's their leading scorer. 24-18, the lead now to 6, and Bob Cleveland wants a timeout. Well, Mustang was down by 4. They're now up by 6. Fourth-ranked Mustang being led by Shane Webb. He's got a couple of 3-pointers, averaging just 4.5 on the season. He's got 6 points already, and the 3-pointers by the Mustang Broncos, 4 trays with 6:05 to go before halftime. So in 10 minutes of action, they've got 4 trays and lead by 6, and the 3-pointer has brought them back.
First period turnovers was pretty even, Don. 4 for Union, 3 for Mustang. So it's been a pretty even ball game statistically, with the exception of the shooting on the part of Mustang. Exceptionally good shooting.
Union, again, their second time in the state tournament as many years. They beat Del City last year in the opening round, and Chris Hayes comes right back. He's got 3 trays of his own in the first half. He's in double figures with 11. 22-21 the score. Or 24-21, excuse me. Mustang up by 3. Hooper commits a foul, his first, and only the second team foul by Union. Union defeated, as I mentioned, Del City last year in the opening round of the state tournament here at the Mabee Center, but lost to Norman in the semifinals. So you see Hooper reaching in.
Really reaching in on Senior.
Seymour buries another. He's got a half dozen. 2 baskets here in the second period. 26-21.
You know, the thing that's been most surprising in the tournament thus far, Don, is I really felt that the matchups were going to be extremely close, but we haven't had a close game yet.
Not really. There's a long-range shot. Looked like Hayes might have had that one tipped away from him at the last second. Inside Seymour, he's got the hot hand. And traveling will be called on 35, Jason Canary. 6'4" junior forward commits the turnovers. We're at the 5-minute mark of the second period. The only close game so far in the state tournament. Boys action, 4A boys. McLean JV. There's Brett Close, the Mustang coach. The McLean Scots under Mike Bolton survived 4 last-second shots by Douglas and beat the Trojans 67-66 in the opening round of the 4A boys tournament. Keith Moore, one-on-one. Seymour pops it. He drains that one. 4:44 to go, and Keith Moore has 4 points, 2 in each quarter. 26-23 as the Skins pulled it within 3.
Union back in a man defense. It's not a pressure man. It's just a good, steady hit-up man defense.
Canary tries his luck. He's short. Hightower gets the rebound, falls down. Chadwick, Chris Chadwick, 25 into the game for Union. He comes away with it. Hayes, great pass to Moore. Couldn't do anything with it. Looks for Hayes inside. Back out to Chadwick, to Hooper. Look out, Eshelman's pushed. And we might have a double foul here called by Johnny Johnson. Foul on Hightower for Mustang. And a foul by Eshelman for Union.
Here we'll get a good look at what happened between Hightower and Eshelman. And
You see, he really came scooting across there. Johnny Johnson immediately giving an indication that both players had committed a foul, so they're both charged with a personal, and Union has the ball.
Is that a possession?
Yes.
Okay, so the possession arrow will now go to Mustang. Hayes out front. 4 minutes to go, second period. A three-pointer would tie the game. Union's biggest lead of 6. Mustang's biggest lead thus far of 6. Chadwick off to Walker. To Moore. He'll try it again from the right wing. Off the heel, Walker gets the long rebound. Against Senior, knocked out of bounds by Glover.
Mustang keeps that pressure on you. They're right up, just right on top of you. Their hands in the passing lanes after the basketball all the time.
41, Hightower checks out for Mustang, and Bill Craig, number 45, checks in, 6'5" junior. Play underneath. Hayes on the move, misses the shot, and Eshelman commits the foul on the back of one of the Bronco frontline players. So that was a very crucial play for the Redskins. Hayes misses the layup, and Eshelman commits a foul, his second.
And more importantly, and you see the drive in there by Hayes, and then Eshelman's going to be up on his back right there at the close. And that's 2 fouls here in 10 seconds on Ryan Eshelman.
3.5 to go before halftime. Mustang with the ball in a 3-point lead. They've hit 4 3-pointers in this first half. Union's hit 3. Inside they work. Seymour, and a foul. I believe it's on Eshelman, and that should be his third. Let's check. Cujo with the call. Kendall Cujo. Brett Close likes the action so far. The Mustangs were down by 6, now up by 3.
Now that's 3 fouls on Ryan Eshelman in less than 25 seconds. You see the pivot there.
How is that a foul? I get so tired of that call.
Must have been some kind of a push before we caught it there, Don, but daylight on our
Had to
angle.
have been. And I'm not singling out Kendall Cujo, and I mentioned this last week. Talked to some officials earlier. That call's got to be changed where a player just stands straight up, puts his arms up, and the offensive player leans into him. It's usually a defensive foul. Here's Chris Hayes.
And especially if you're 4 inches taller than the man leaning into you, it'll be a foul every time.
Chris just got his hair cut and has a bow tie in the back of his head. I don't think won't be able to see it unless we get a close-up. Well, he'd like a present here. He'd like a 3-pointer to tie the game. Keith Moore can't do anything against Seymour. They look for the alley-oop. Nothing doing to Hayes. And Darren Nash, 35 into the game.
Jason Canary doing an excellent job of shadowing Chris Hayes, Don, making it very difficult for him to catch the basketball.
Hayes has 11 points in double figures, 29 out of his last 32 games of his career. Walker stripped of the ball by Senior. Poked away, 2-on-1. Scott Glover goes to the line after missing the layup. Fouled by Chris Chadwick.
And I'm sure that Bob Cleland's going to be talking to Don Walker at halftime, because you can't take that 5'6" guard and go in there with those trees and get away with it. There you get a good look at Scott Glover going down. You see the foul occurring.
Well, if you're going to foul him, make sure he doesn't make the basket, and he almost did. Number 10, Rick Ponce de Leon, 5'10" senior, or excuse me, 5'10" sophomore guard, checking in for Chadwick, and at the line is Scott Glover, averaging 9 points per game, but hasn't gotten a point yet in this affair with 2.5 to go second quarter. Pushes the lead to 4 for the Mustang Broncos, who have never won a state tournament game. They've been to the tournament twice before and have lost in the opening round both times.
It'll be interesting at the end of the ball game, if it remains close like it is here in the opening half, to see which of the senior-dominated team can take the pressure and which one the experience will pay off for the most.
I was thinking the same thing. Union, who was in the state tournament last year, you would think that would help him. Bob Cleveland, a much more seasoned coach than Brett Close. But right now, it's Mustang taking charge. And Glover hit the free throws, comes back with a layup. He's got the last 4 points. It's the biggest lead of the first half for Mustang. There's your clock, 30-23.
Union was down 3 when Ryan Eshelman went out of the ball game with 3 fouls. So, you know, we know he is definitely a key.
Nice rebound by Moore. And he gets it to go. Union is not shooting well, but they got a big offensive rebound there from Keith Moore. And that's the kind of player he is. As Glover drains another one.
Glover averaging only 9 points a game, Don, and he shoots the ball tonight like he should be averaging 15 or so. But offensively, they've only scored 58.7 average on their game, so they haven't been a big offensive team.
Glover scored the last 6 points for the Broncos. They right now are shaking off the Redskins without any trouble. 32-25, 7-point game. Moore tries to close it to 5. Can't get it to go. Offside rebound. Mustangs Heath Sr. Off to Canary. Back to Senior, and he'll bring it across. With a minute to go before halftime. JB will have Jerry Jobe, the basketball secretary of the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association, who, of course, governs high school athletics in Oklahoma, as his guest at halftime. Seymour, double team. Kicks it back out underneath Glover. Stripped of the ball. Nash couldn't handle it. Hayes does. Tried to pull off a 3 and couldn't get it done. And so Union, down by 7, will try apparently to work here for the final shot of the first half.
You could see Chris Hayes then trying to get his little short steps together, get his rhythm. He wanted to put that one up and just couldn't get it together.
They've done a nice job on him, Coach. Chris Hayes.
Yeah, they have. And we're talking about Jason Canary. He has really done a great job on Chris Hayes.
Averaging 19 per season, at 8 after 1 period when Glover was dogging him. And then they switched to Canary in the second quarter. Hayes has a 3-pointer, and that's been it. And he's had some shots. They just haven't fallen for him, but give Canary some credit here.
But what Canary's making him do, Don, he's making him work so hard to get the basketball. Now, Chris doesn't have it. You'll see it's going to take a while for him to get his hands on it again. Canary actually is mugging him inside. He gets it then, but did you see, he really had to go hard on the baseline to get it.
Walker, short. And that'll take care of the first half. Union jumped out with the first 6 points of the first half. Since then, it's been pretty much Mustang. From that point forward, they outscored them 26-19 and lead by 7 as we head to our halftime activities from the Mabee Center. We appreciate you watching high school basketball state tournament from the Mabee Center on United Artists Cable, Channel 3.
Welcome back to the Mabee Center. It's halftime here in first round play in 5A action. Union trailing Mustang 32-25. Joining me here at halftime is Jerry Jobe, one of the assistants to the executive secretary of the Oklahoma High School Activities Association. And Jerry, you know, we were talking before the session started this afternoon about what a great field. I still think it's a great field, but I didn't expect some of the blowouts that we've had here in 5A.
Well, I think we're all probably surprised. Of course, Norman came in here as a very strong contender from the West, and they were certainly outstanding today in defeating Sapulpa. I was a little bit surprised in the way that Edmond, of course, was able to handle Booker T. We often think of Booker T being a real strong physical ball club on the boards, but Edmond held their own there and played an outstanding ball game. And this ball game that we're looking at right now with Union, I kind of thought that Union might be the hottest team in the East, but Mustang won 23 ball games this year, JV, and I saw them win the game that put them in the state tournament on a last-second shot And Mustang has one thing going for them this year that I can't ever remember a Mustang ball club having, and that's a winning season. With 23 wins under their belt, these kids have found a way to come back. In the game that elevated them to the state tournament, they were behind 11-0. So it was nothing unusual when I saw the score up there 6-0 in favor of Union. This was not a time for Union to relax, but Mustang's a fighting ball club. They look kind of like a gypsy ball club, but they get the job done. They're strong off the bench. Canary comes off the bench, and he scores the first bucket for them 3 minutes deep in the game. And they're just a tough ball club. They'll be hard to get out of here tonight.
And of course, Bartlesville, the defending 5A champion, they win their first round game, always strong. Steve Hester has a great ball club.
They come in here clawing your eyes out defensively. They play an up-tempo game, and they really represent what exciting, tough defensive basketball is. I think Steve does one of the outstanding jobs in the state, and certainly his ball clubs always represent Bartlesville well, and you know that they're going to be there whenever they're to be counted.
Jerry, over the years, there's always been a lot of controversy over seedings in regional, area, and the state tournament. But it looks like now the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activity Association, you have a plan where you know from day one. I know a lot of coaches don't understand it. A lot of sports writers don't understand it. But really, it was just clear from once it was determined in February where you were going to be.
It's clear cut. And, you know, when you have upsets, well, of course, this changes the whole pattern. There may be a sports writer, too, that doesn't understand it, but our coaches understand what it is because our coaches are the one that developed this plan. It was presented to our board of directors, approved by the board of directors, and to ask us to change the rules in the middle of the stream, that's really kind of ridiculous. So the pairings have been set, the teams are here, and we're going to find out who's the best in 5A pretty quick.
And I really like the plan that you have there where the coaches have input a third, the ratings of the major papers a third, and then, of course, the one-loss record. That puts it down where you fall just about where you belong.
I think so. It's tough to seed any tournament, but we have 16 seeds in the East, 16 in the West, and that's based on your season record. It's based on what the newspapers perceive you as being as a rating. It's based on how the coaches rate the teams they're competing against, and of course the one-loss record. Those three criteria are about as good a criteria as you can have, but ultimately it's going to be decided on the court, and that's what's exciting about this tournament.
And of course, Jerry, you have to be happy with the crowds today.
Oh, gee whiz. Dollar signs click over there, don't they, JV?
Yes, they do.
Makes you want Union Bartlesville finals, maybe?
But there has been a great crowd, and it's been an enthusiastic crowd. And
terrific crowd.
And we'll look for more. And always, Jerry, it's a pleasure having you in Tulsa. Pleasure having you on United Artists Cable. And we're just really delighted at the direction the Activity Association is going.
We appreciate you, JV. We appreciate the people here at Mabee Center. And most of all, we appreciate the people of Tulsa and how they welcome the state 5A, 4A championship. And I hope we can continue to come back here for many years.
Jerry Jobe, our guest here at halftime, one of the assistants at the Oklahoma Secondary School Activity Association office. And we'll be back with Don King in the second half, so stay with us.
Ready to start the second half. Excuse me. Mustang, their biggest lead at 7. That's where they stand right now, 32-25. Union's biggest lead was 6 points. At 6-0, there are your halftime stats, courtesy of statistician Doug Winters and graphic coordinator Susan Lehman.
And you look at that three-point shooting there, Mustang 4 out of 6, Don, that's 67%. Union shooting well from the three-point area as well, but overall, Mustang 67%, and that is really good shooting here in the state tournament. Rebounds, Union's up by 4. Turnovers about even, but the good shooting there gives them the 7-point lead.
Mustang's taken 5 less shots and has made 2 more than Union. So that's the story. And Eshelman has 3 fouls. He starts the second half. Hayes gets the pick off. 3-on-3. Loses control and travels with it. Oh, no, a foul called on number 4, Keth Senior. And there's Chris Hayes. Second foul on Senior. Free throw shooting. There was Chris's bow tie, by the way, the back of your head, you saw. How do they do that?
I don't know.
Kids get those haircuts like that. I like it.
I don't know, but it was an artist that did it, and I'm sure it took a little while to do it,
some
Don.
time.
It's not like my haircuts.
Eshelman has the only 2 free throws for Union. He was perfect on those 2 attempts. And the same for Scott Glover for Mustang. Eshelman, those with 3 fouls. Leading scorer for Union, Hayes with 11, including 3 3-pointers, but only 3 points in the second quarter. He has 11. Keith Moore with 6, Eshelman with 6. There's Hayes off to Walker. Keith Moore, a couple of big offensive rebounds, stick backs for him. Eshelman against Hightower, snakes it in. And it's 32-27, and I would think, JB, if you're Union, you want to get off to a good start here in the third quarter.
You definitely want to get off. When you're down 7, Don, and you come out and the other team gets a couple of baskets, then you are really under pressure the rest of the way.
Glover for 3. His first tray of the game. He's got 9 points, the match's season average. And now they own their biggest lead of the game at 8 points.
And that's 5 out of 7 3-pointers for the night, and that is remarkable shooting.
And 4 different players have 3s. Who was that? I think it was Keith Moore. Moore has 8 points, 35-29. Steal by Eshelman. He's got Walker alone, and then Glover comes right back and takes it back, and Hightower can't handle it. Eshelman gets it back. It's end-to-end, coast-to-coast action, state tournament. Hayes tries to pop it. It's blocked.
Big opportunity there for Union. They let get away.
Yeah, they could have cut it to 3 there.
I thought we had a roller derby going on for a second.
There have been a couple of plays that have really not gone Union's way. Hayes drove the lane, had a scoop layup that he missed off the side of the rim, and Eshelman on the offensive rebound committed his 3rd foul. There's a stick underneath by Aaron Seymour. He's got 8 points. It's 37-29, and then Union tosses it away.
Tried to talk Bob Cleveland out of wearing a tie tonight.
You did?
Yeah, he says the tie was always kind of bad luck. And I said, well, don't put it on today, Coach. He felt he should in the state tournament. I think I'll go over there and ask him just to take it off.
If they don't cut it to 2 quickly, I'll go over there and rip it off for him. 5'9" senior guard, he's senior across the timeline. Bob's done a great job with Union the last 2 years. 39-13 the last 2 years. They've won 27 out of their last 32 games. They've won 15 in a row.
Looks like now the Mustang, Don, is really going to try to spread them out a little bit.
Looks that way. Senior for an NBA 3. Walker gets the long rebound. Man, that was a good 22, 23-footer. 3 minutes gone, third quarter. Union still down by 8. They were down by 7 at half.
And again, if you just joined us here on the telecast, we visited with Britt Close before the ball game, and he said that his team was not a 3-point shooting team, and they're now 5 for 8.
The whistling you hear in the background is from the Mustang crowd. They have not sat down. Hayes misses. Eshelman gets it back, blocked by Seymour, and he's on Eshelman's back. And that will be the first foul by Aaron Seymour. Eshelman's the only player in the game in foul trouble. He's got 3.
You see the hard work here of Eshelman on the board. Always tough on the board. Little up fake, and he gets Seymour up on his back and draws the foul on him. He goes to the line. Maybe, no, they didn't give him a shooting foul on that.
Hayes with the ball, averaging or hitting 58% of his shots from the field, but he's not hitting that tonight. Eshelman, they go inside, he's double team, he kicks it back to Moore, who drives the paint, puts up a rainbow. Eshelman battles for the rebound, out of bounds, and Johnny Johnson from Bigsby, one of our officials for this game, says it belongs with Union. He represents the east side. Kendall Cujo from Oklahoma City representing the west side of the state. Eshelman for 3. What a basket by the 6'5" senior all-conference performer. He's in double figures with 11.
And that was a key basket, Don. They needed that one. If you've noticed, the tempo has really slowed down considerably here in the third period, and a 7 or 8 point lead could be a much larger lead than under normal conditions.
And remember, Mustang averages only 58 points per game. Foul called here on Chris Chadwick, number 25, his second personal. First team foul on the Redskins of Union, who finished behind Bartlesville in the Frontier Conference Championship in the race, even though they knocked off Bartlesville, the first team in conference action to do that in 2 years.
There you can see Chadwick reaching in, committing the foul.
Canary double teamed off the Hightower. 15, he's hit a couple of those. Eshelman pulls it down. Great outlet to Walker. Against Senior. Strip. Follow. Chadwick. That's a big basket by the junior forward, Chris Chadwick.
Was a great basket by Chadwick because he had Senior breathing right down his neck there, and he kind of turned his back and laid it on the glass.
And a blocking foul here. And a timeout called. Let's take a look.
You can see Keith Moore over there. I couldn't quite tell. That was a proper call.
Second foul on Keith Moore. State tournament from the Mabee Center. We're coming back in a moment. Well, the Redskins of Union, after falling down by 8 points, get a stick back from Eshelman to close it to 6. Then down by 8 again. Get a three-pointer from Eshelman, who hasn't hit many this year from that range, to close it to 5. Then they get a steal, and Chadwick gets a stick back after a layup attempt. I think it was by Walker. 37-34, Mustang 3-point lead with the basketball, and a steal by Hayes. Showtime for the junior, but he loses control. One-on-one still against Glover, and he couldn't decide whether he wanted to take it off, to kiss it off the glass, or put it through. And so he's got to be a little frustrated right now. 3.5 to go in the third. That's a deuce for Glover, short. Walker comes away with it. Boy, it's running and gunning, coast to coast, and that's what Union wants, an up-tempo game.
And it looks like maybe that the Mustang team is kind of cooling a little bit from the floor, Don, and that happens sometimes late in the ball game.
This game has flown by, hitting the 3-minute mark of period number 3. Keith Moore looking inside. They're trying to get it to Eshelman. Bam! What happened there? He's too good a shooter to miss it like that. I think he was pushed. No call. Moore almost stole it. Dives for it, and Cujo says it remains with the Broncos of Mustang, who are ranked 4th in the state, 23-3 on the year.
You'll see that Bill Craig, he comes off the bench, and he's tough in there, forcing Eshelman not to get the basket that he had almost point blank under the bucket.
So the Broncos still with the lead, up by 3. We've gone now 1 minute and 20 seconds without any scoring since the timeout. Glover weaves his way through traffic, throws it away. Looking for Bill Craig, number 45.
Now, there was a good example of any time that you penetrate and you get in the paint while your teammates have to move because you may have to get rid of the ball, and that time it was Bill Craig coming in from the far side, didn't get open.
Walker hasn't scored, off to Hooper, who scored the first 2 points of the game. To Hayes. Walker turns down the 3. He's a pretty good 3-point shooter, but the Union guards don't score a lot. Moore inside. Eshelman fouled, I think, by Craig, and that will be the 3rd team foul on Mustang.
Mustangs turned the ball over 5 times the 3rd quarter, and that's really allowed Union to get right back in the ball game here.
There's a look. JV, this Frontier Conference, we sang its praises all season, and it sent 4 teams to the state tournament. 3 in 5A, Bartlesville, Union, and Sapulpa, and Nathan Hale in 4A. The Oklahoma 8 Conference sending 3 teams to the state tournament, Washington in 5A, and in 4A, Central and McLean.
And those 2 teams could fight it out for the state title in 4A.
I'm telling you, McLean had a pretty good sized lead over Douglas. I think they expanded it to 15 at halftime, and then Douglas came back on them, took the lead, and it was back and forth in the 4th quarter. McLean dodged about 4 or 5 bullets in the last 6 seconds of the game to win 67-66. Other than that, it's been pretty dry for the Eastern teams. The Jinx girls in 5A, Jinx Lady Trojans in 5A girls will not defend their state championship, losing to Midwest City 63-62.
Good faking in there by Eshelman, drawing a foul on Seymour.
Eshelman misses a shot. Moore, was he on the back? I think he was, yes. That's the third foul on Keith Moore. So he and Eshelman have 3 as Brett Close, the Mustang head coach in his first year, looking on. As Heath Sr., number 4, the guard with 3 fouls. And Scott Glover pitches it to Shane Webb, and here come the Mustang Broncos. Off to Senior. Third quarter winding down. Union suffering through one of their lowest offensive quarters of the season. In the second period, they had only 9 points. And we're down by 7 at halftime. They've cut it to 3. It's been a long time since anybody scored. 2.5 minutes. Webb turns down the 3 to Canary to Senior. Walker blanketing him.
Might be a little early for Mustang to do this.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. Moore makes him pay for it. Off to Hooper. A minute to go. Moore with some fine offensive work, and he's fouled by 15. Shane Webb, and Keith Moore might have saved their bacon right there.
He really did. He just happened to be popped in that area at the right time and caught the deflection, ended up and drawing the foul. And you can see just what hustle will do. You'll see Moore coming from the top right-hand corner of your screen there. Whoop, there's a basketball.
Moore was our player of the game last week in the regional opener against Rogers. Three-pointer, long range, Hayes. Nobody there, but Moore to get the rebound. And he rainbows one. Eshelman almost committed his 4th foul. Hooper saves it to Eshelman. Yes, they cut it to 1 with 42 seconds left.
And Mustang has really cooled off this half, Don. They've only scored 5 points the third period.
Eshelman with 13 points in the game, 7 in this third quarter, and he's played the entire third with 3 fouls. And did Hayes wait for that steal? And he puts it up, but gets hammered and goes to the line.
He's going to get 2 shots on this, but more importantly, I think that is about the 6th foul. So the next one will be a 1-and-1 situation for the Redskins, and that can be important. You really see Chris Hayes set up and intercepted the pass there. He's going to take it all the way to hole, but just a good smart foul in there by Heath Sr.
And the 4th foul on Senior. To the line, Chris Hayes. Hayes, an 81% free throw shooter. One of the top juniors in the state. And he'll be heavily recruited next year. We mentioned what a conference with lots of juniors in this conference. Jerome Harris, Gerard Harris of Bartlesville, Cody Hobson of Sapulpa. And then you look in the other conference, a couple of great juniors next year that will be seniors. McLean Shea Seals and Landis Williams from Washington. We say it every year, Coach, as we're tied at 37. Hayes puts the Redskins back in front for the first time since late in the first quarter. It's 38-37 Union.
You notice Bob Cleveland got Keith Moore out of there with 25 seconds here in the period. Give him just a couple of 3 more minutes rest because he's going to depend on, he's going to have to be a tough man on the board in the 4th quarter.
And his guards have played the entire game. Hooper and Walker, I believe, have played the entire game. Unless Chadwick has spelled one of them for a little bit.
Yeah, Chadwick, I think, has spelled Hooper, but Walker's been there the entire game. What do we got
here? Walking called by Glover with 1 second left, third quarter. Glover called for the turnover from Mustang. We'll see how Union plays this. Eshelman will inbound, and it appears that the Redskins went on a great flurry, and they have the momentum going into the final 8 minutes. The winner will play Norman in the semifinals here at the Mabee Center. 5A state gold ball up for grabs. We're coming back in a moment. Boy, Mustang went. The Broncos of Mustang went the last 5 minutes without a point in that third quarter. And Union able to come back with a 9-point run on them and take a 1-point lead into this 4th quarter. So Mustang going the final 5 minutes of the third quarter without a point, Coach. And then Union turning that into a 9-point run.
Well, keep in mind they were shooting such a tremendous percentage there the first half that they had to cool off a little bit. You're not going to be shooting in the high 60s from the three-point range with 5 of 8, and then 53% overall, and not cool off. They had their run, and Union's come back, but I'm sure Mustang has one more push.
Eshelman had a great third quarter, didn't he? 3 fouls going into the third quarter, had 7 points and some key rebounds. Moore played well in the third quarter. Hayes had a couple of big baskets. This one's blocked. Mustang has it. Haven't seen much of Gary Hightower either. He's back in the game. We got a foul on Union in the backcourt.
Union's really stayed in the game to this point through the turnover because they've scored several buckets. They did in the third period, 13-8 turnover ratio in favor of Union in this instance.
4th foul on Keith Moore right here. He's got 4. Eshelman has 3 for Union.
And Union's out-rebounded Mustang, Don. They had 20 to 13 and giving away all that height. That's remarkable.
Jason Canary with the basket. He's got 7 points. And it's Mustang up by 1. We have our 3rd lead change of the game. We've been tied once. Walker to Hooper. Moore. They look inside. They flip it back out to Moore. Hooper for a tray. Got it! Brian Hooper with 5 points in the game. And it's 41-39.
Hooper started the game off with a basket, and that's another key basket right there, Don.
And a trap, half court. Tommy Strickland, 22. Hayes misses the steal. Canary, their best shooter, stripped by Hayes. Knocked away. Bodies on the floor. It's a state tournament.
I tell you what now, Gary Hightower's going to be sore tomorrow, Don, because he's been on the floor a lot, and that 6'8", 240 frame can get a lot of bruises.
Walker to the glass. Blocked, but foul. No, wait, offensive foul. He ran over Seymour.
You know, if there's one thing that Little Guard has to learn, he just has to learn that he is not going to take that ball in on those big guys and get anything but in trouble. And you can see him, just a very obvious charge there, going high in the air.
One of the guys I've enjoyed watching this season, JB, that does as good a job as anybody I've ever seen as far as pulling up and kissing it off the glass and rainbowing it over the big guys is Mark Morris at TU. He does a nice job of that.
That's true, and Little Guard should study him because that's the way you have to do it.
Scott Glover against Eshelman. I'm surprised they haven't worked on him, try and get him out of the game, because he's really helped neutralize some of these bigger guys with Mustang. Well, we've got back-to-back charging fouls. This one's on Mustang's 35, Jason Canary, his first. But more importantly, JB, that puts Union in the 1-1.
And there you get a good view of it, and obviously it was a charging foul.
So mark it down. Union in the 1-1 now at the 6-12 mark of the game. They're up by a deuce. They have the basketball. They're trying to get to the semifinals of the 5A state tournament for the 2nd straight year. They beat Dell City last year. They lost to Norman, who made it to the finals, and lost to Bartlesville in the finals. And a reach-in foul on number 50, Aaron Seymour. That's his 2nd.
And we'll get an opportunity here with Ryan Eshelman, Don, going to the line, and he gets the ball in there on the low post. And you'll see the Mustang player reach right in there, number 50, Seymour, and foul him. But more importantly, Eshelman to the line, a great free throw shooter.
A timeout on the floor. When we come back, Union is at the line, up by 2 with 5:54 to go in regulation. Leading scorers for Union, Chris Hayes with 13, Ryan Eshelman with 13, Keith Moore with 8. For Mustang, their leading scorer, and it's balanced attack. Scott Glover with 9, Seymour with 8, Hightower with 6, Canary with 7, and Webb with 6. So they got 3, 4, 5 players, no points off the bench. Webb has 6 points off the bench. But they've had 6 players play, and 5 have scored somewhere between 6 and 9 points. So that's pretty balanced scoring. Here's Eshelman at the line, and the story right now, JB, is Mustang has scored 2 points in the last 7 minutes of the game,
and only 7 since the half.
Ryan Eshelman. perfect at the free throw line. Union perfect on the night at 5 for 5.
Well, Union's going to get another chance at a 1-and-1 before their team gets into the 1-and-1. And again, he hits this one. That could be 4 potential points.
15 points for Eshelman. He's in double figures for the 11th straight game and 24 out of 26 games this season. Eshelman has been in double-digit scoring.
But we want to remember what Mustang did at opening the ball game. They showed us the capability of hitting the 3.
Here he's got that right. Seymour doesn't have much arch on his shot. That time it cost him, and Hooper pulls down the rebound. The 5'10 senior brings it up. Chadwick got a big basket earlier in the second half to pull Union within 3.
And now Union's going to spread it out a little bit, Don. And they should be able to do this, actually.
Why do you say that?
Well, because of the height situation in there, the big men may not be able to come out and cover.
Glover from senior, poked away by Chadwick, and he'll go to the line. They'll call the foul on Chris Hayes. And Rick Scott, our floor photographer, was all over that one. We'll take a look.
And we'll see that Glover comes out of there with the ball and drives down the court, but you see Hayes coming up behind him. Good, just a good strong hack. He's not going to let him have the easy layup. Make him go to the line and hit 2.
Union up by 4. Scott Glover, a good free throw shooter, and their leading scorer in this game with 9 points.
No, I said about spreading it out a while ago. Don with Bill Craig, he's off the bench in there. Seymour, and of course with Canary, 3 big men. And I thought it might work, but they got a tremendous effort there out of Glover and also out of senior.
Glover's the only Bronco that has been to the line in this game, and he's perfect in all 3 attempts. He's in double figures with 10, averaging 9 on the season. He has 11. He's cut it to 2. It's 43-41. It's been a great ball game. Coach Cleveland says he wants his offense to rotate a few times. Dangerous pass that Walker comes away with. And then pops it over the big guy. Chadwick with a big rebound. Blocked by Seymour, and the Broncos come away with it. 4:45 to go in the game.
And we're going to the wire, Don.
You can just feel it, can't you? Inside Canary, over Chadwick. Won't go, but he'll go to the line to try and tie it with a pair of free throws. And Keith Moore will check into the game for Union with 4 fouls.
And they're doing this with Hightower out of there, but they're still going to go inside with their big men as much as possible here. You see him tossing it inside in there to Bill Craig, drawing the foul.
The east side of the state has won 6 of the last 7 state championships in 5A. Washington had a string of 4 in a row, 84, 5, 6, and 7. Lee Mayberry led the Ropers of Will Rogers to the 88 title. Bartlesville in 89. Norman broke the string in 90, going undefeated at 28-0. Bartlesville won it last year.
Both teams now in the 1-and-1, Don, so free throws going to be very crucial to both ball clubs.
43-43, and another steal for the Broncos.
And that was just great, a great aggressive defensive play by Scott Glover.
Canary off the Glover, off the senior. We hit the midway mark of the 4th quarter. We're tied at 43, second tie of the game. And we've had 4 lead changes in this thing. Seymour. Aaron Seymour, the 6'7" senior, their leading scorer. He's in double figures with 10. And in double figures in 22 of the 26 games. 22 of the 27 games. And Mustang has the lead back.
You had to like what Seymour did then. He caught the ball on the low post, didn't hesitate, turned right around and put it in the net.
Union wants a timeout with 3:52 to go. And here's a look at Aaron Seymour to put the Broncos of Mustang, which is located about 15 miles southwest of Oklahoma City, 10 miles south of Yukon, in the lead. There you see the clock in the background, and there you see it again at 3:52 mark. Union scored the first 6 points of the game. Mustang came back to take a 1-point lead after 1 period on a 3-pointer by Jason Canary with 2 seconds left in the first quarter. They led by 1, 17-16. They opened it up to a 6-point lead. And then Union closed it. In fact, it was down by 7 at halftime, down by as many as 8 when they went on a 9-0 run. And at the end of 3 periods, led by 1 point, 38-37. And now Mustang has regained the lead. As we take a look at the other 5A scores from the 5A tournament, you see Norman all over Sapulpa. Washington surprisingly thumped by Edmond. And Bartlesville beating Putnam. That is 70-59, by the way, instead of 70-50. But nevertheless, Bartlesville Bruins win it. The point being is that Bartlesville's the only eastern side team to win, and Union needs to hang on to get their responsibility taken care of here, if you will, because with the east side winning 6 of the last 7 state titles, Bartlesville could be the only team to have a chance to do it, or to hang on to that string.
And the Union's got their motion offense going. I'm sure they're trying to break it loose where Hayes maybe can get his shot. Here he comes, maybe now. Nope.
They've done a good job on him, Coach, even though he's got 13.
He has to work so hard to get the basketball.
Hooper with 5 points to Walker, who's scoreless, to Moore, who has had a good game, 8 points. And a foul at the baseline on Aaron Seymour, and that is his 3rd. And again, both teams in the bonus. 3:18 to go. Union has been in the bonus for quite some time, but hasn't paid off for them as of yet. Maybe until now. Keith Moore, 55% free throw shooter. Rebound Seymour. That's the first missed free throw of the game. Here comes Mustang. They're up by 2.
And in a low-scoring game like this, Don, each possession is so critical.
Well, Mustang kept it. They wanted to keep it in the 50s. They've done so, and Seymour nails back-to-back jumpers and puts them up by 4. And Mustang is on an incredible 8-point run.
Well, Brent Close didn't lead me astray on that. He said that Aaron Seymour was their go-to man, and they've gone to him twice here in the 4th period. He's come up with 4 points for them.
Eshelman, he's been double teamed underneath. They've done a great job on Hayes. Canary has here in the second half. Hooper tries to do something. Eshelman, he couldn't get it, and Moore does. Moore spins, nothing doing.
Have to give Mustang a lot of credit, Don. Their defense is excellent.
Glover with the steal. Will they hammer him? No. He's got 13 points to lead Mustang. It's 49-43. Mustang up by 6. There's your clock. They are on a 10-0 run. Hayes looked like he might have stepped out. No call. Eshelman saves it. Poked away. Glover and Hooper. Hooper saves it. There's Hayes. He's got to save it, and he can't do it.
It was kind of getting out of control. And what they were wanting to do there, actually, Brian Hooper came out and brought his defensive man that got Hayes double teamed. I think what he was wanting, just give me a screen so that Hayes can come off. But it never did happen. Then it just got into a harem-scarum. And here you see him diving for the ball. Hooper was lucky not to get out of bounds.
He was. Well,
it turns right around and throws it away.
Senior tries to bring it up against Walker. Minute 45. There's your clock. Left in the game. Mustang up by 6 and a foul on Hayes. That's just his 2nd. So we'll see just how good Mustang is at the free throw line.
And this will really check them out, Don, because they're only 2 possessions behind, talking about Union. And here they almost have to take a chance to dig it. You can see Chris Hayes fouling as he goes around, but you have to make that chance with less than 2 minutes to go.
I'm sure Union wanted to get this game up into the 60s or 70s. Mustang wanted to keep it into the 40s or 50s, and they've done it. They've accomplished their task. Free throw, good by Canary. They're up by 7. Canary could match Mustang's biggest lead of the night.
Now they really need to come out quickly and give Chris Hayes a pick so he can go try to get them.
And he's short on the 3, but gets 3 free throws. Canary commits the foul. And for Jason, that's his 2nd. We'll remind you, we have another game coming up this weekend on United Artists Cable, as well as coverage of the 4A boys, 5A girls, and boys state championship games on Channel 40 on United Artists Cable this weekend. So a lot of high school basketball left, even though Washington suffers an opening round loss. Sapulpa takes it on the chin. Jinx girls taking on the chin. Union is in danger here of losing with 1:35 to go.
And the West has just really come in here and overpowered the East and 5A boys, with the exception of Bartlesville.
Well, if they're going to do this, it seems like they do it. They've done it more than their share recently. I just assume them do it in Oklahoma City, Coach, than to do it here at the Mabee Center.
Oh, no. This is the most beautiful place to play basketball. None is better. There may be one is good, but none is better. There's not a better place to play basketball than right here in ORU's Mabee Center.
Well, I was only speaking of the fact that it's disheartening, I know, for these schools from the east side
and you know
host the large school tournaments and then get beat by the west side schools.
But if we'd get beat here, we'd get beat over there as well.
That's true. Seymour. Fouled by Eshelman. That's his fourth.
And Don, as I've been around the state, you'd be surprised how many youngsters, this is their dream, is to play in a state tournament in the Mabee Center.
Well, that gentleman right there, Ryan Eshelman, has had a tremendous career at Union. A great senior season, averaging 18 points, 9 rebounds a game. What a game he had against Muskogee in the regional championship game. 31 points, 13 rebounds. And he saved their bacon in the fourth quarter last week against Bartlesville. Seymour can't get the free throw to go. They're up by 7, minute 24 to go. Pushes it. Tries to push it to 8, can't do it, misses them both. Eshelman rebounds to Moore, or rather to Hayes. He needs a 3 to cut it to 4. Walker tries a deuce. Moore needs to stick it back up. Tries to reverse. They're all over the place, and Glover comes away with it, and then he knocks down a cheerleader.
I think he knocked down about 3 cheerleaders, Don, as he went out of bounds there.
And again, we'll have another high school game for you this weekend, whether it be McLean girls in 4A semifinal action or the Central boys who won their opening round game. Senior loses it out of bounds, stops the clock at 62 seconds. They need 7 points, Union does, in that amount of time.
And there is time.
There
is time. Just get the ball up from the outside and maybe get Chris Hayes just a little shooting room.
Hayes from 25 drains it. Timeout, Union. That gives them some life. He cuts it to 4 on that three-pointer, even though he atoned somewhat for the missed 2 free throws that he just shot. So it's 51-47. And Mustang give them some credit. A 12-0 run. And a timeout was called with 5:54 to go in the game. Union was ahead by 2. They then went ahead by 4. And since then, with about 5.5 to go in the game, it's been all Mustang. Here's a look at Chris Hayes' three-pointer.
And that is an NBA three-pointer, nothing but net.
Let's take a look while we have a chance at the Frontier Conference all-tournament, or excuse me, all-conference team, all-league team from the Frontier Conference. And what a conference it's been this year, as we mentioned, with Bartlesville, Sapulpa, and Union, 3 teams ranked in the top 5 for most of the year. Nathan Hale from this conference making it to the 4A state tournament. I'd like to play with that group about anywhere. Poindexter, Eshelman, Hayes. You don't hear much about Bartlesville, but they've got some players. Raymond Roberts, Jerome Harris is a junior, as well as Hayes from this group, and Carlos Wise from Sand Springs.
You know, the preseason rankings, Mustang was ranked 6th. They ended up number 4.
Hayes with a steal in the paint. Oh, he couldn't get it to go. Hooper saves it, keeps it alive, and a foul called. And I believe it might be on Mustang with 46 seconds left. It is. The Bronco fans behind us yelp about the call. They can't believe it. The foul on Seymour is 4th. Let's take a look. 46 seconds left. Union still breathing.
Oh, they're still very much alive, Don. Just a little short. Right there, Hooper goes up and tips it. He may have been smart just to have grabbed it and then gone back inside. But still, Hayes, the guy you like, he's on the line.
1 and 1. Got it. He's 4 of 6 from the line. He's got 18 points to lead all scores. He cuts it to 3. 46 seconds left.
And of course, we're looking at one possession again. One good defensive possession.
Hayes with 19 as season average. Timeout. Mustang with 43 seconds left. What a ball game. The Redskins, you thought they were down and out. But they got their tomahawks out here at the Mabee Center, and they've chopped the lead down from 8 to 2 with some big free throws.
Union preseason was picked number 4 in the state in 5A, and they finished the season number 3. So certainly a top 5 ball club, both sides of the line here tonight between Union and Mustang.
Union trying to get to the semifinals for the second time in as many years after getting to the state tournament last year for the first time in school's history. Mustang's third appearance in the state tournament. They're still looking for their first state tournament win. And here's a look at Chris Hayes, his big three-pointer to cut the lead from 4. Or that was the cut the lead from 51-44 to 51-47. They were down by 7. That three-pointer cut it to 4. Hayes got a couple of free throws to cut it to 2 with 43 seconds left. So Mustang has the ball up by 2.
And here's the pressure Union's putting on them. They need one possession. They need it pretty quickly.
Ooh, and a foul at half court by Hooper. His second. Too early for the foul or not?
No, you've got to go after the ball, and Chris was trying to make the steal right there. You've got to do it. You still have 36 seconds. Even if he hits it, you have a chance for 2 more possessions, Don. That's what they're looking at. And if he hits one of them, they can tie with the 3.
Well, again, we question. Here's Union in the state tournament. Second time in 2 years. They played on this court many times. A seasoned coach in his 23rd year of head coaching. Brett Close in his first year, just a pup. Even though they're seniors on this Mustang team, they've never tasted the state tournament, and they are reacting well to the pressure. Canary hits the first one. Jason Canary with 11 points. He hits them both. 30 seconds left. Hayes off the glass. Nobody there to rebound, and Canary gets fouled with 27 seconds left. Mustang to the line, up by 4.
Canary's hit the last 4 free throws in a row he's put up, and as a team now, Mustang is 10 out of 12, so they're real tough at the free throw line. And here we see the foul called in there on little Don Walker, but he's got to go after the ball. You wouldn't want to maybe foul Jason Canary, but you don't have any chance with less than 30 seconds to go yet to foul the first man you get hold of.
Actually, they called the foul on Keith Moore.
Did they call it on Keith?
That's number 5 on Keith. And he closes out with a very fine career at Union as Canary hits the free throw. Keith Moore leaves this game with 8 points. He played as a freshman and one of the key figures in turning the Union basketball program around. Chadwick with the rebound. They need another three-pointer, and they need it quickly. Hayes, short, nobody there to rebound, and that might just about do it. 19 seconds left, you see. Hayes short on the 3. Hayes will be back next year and try and regroup this club under Bob Cleland. Look at this, cherry picking. Bill Craig. Hayes gets it back, 15 seconds. Down by 5, they need a 3, they need it in a hurry. Walker tries a prayer. Tipped away, out of bounds, belongs with Mustang.
So it's always a sad ending for a group of seniors, Don, but they have gone down just as hard as they could play, and that's all you can ask them.
Eshelman will foul out of the game with 5 seconds left. Now he and Keith Moore, 2 guys that turned this program around along with Chris Hayes, and then you look at the guards who haven't gotten a lot of attention. Certainly not the publicity that Moore, Hayes, and Eshelman have gotten, but our hats off to Donnie Walker and Brian Hooper. Here's Eshelman, who will close out. Great postseason play, 24-point average in postseason this year. He finishes with 15 points, 4 of 4 from the line. plenty of rebounds, and Aaron Seymour at the line. Mustang will up their record to 24-3. There's Ryan Eshelman, 6'5" senior.
And a great career he's had.
55-49. This one will count for 3 off the heel. And the Mustang Broncos down by 4 with about 5.5 minutes to go. Pull off a 10-0 run. And they hang on and beat the Redskins 55-49. We're coming back to close it out, give you our players of the game as quarterfinal action has been completed here at the Mabee Center.
This United Artists Cable exclusive presentation is brought to you in part by Oklahoma Junior College, by Arby's, by Children's Medical Center, by the Williams Companies, and by Eastern Oklahoma Orthopedic Center.
Welcome back to the final score, 55-49 again. The Mustangs over the Broncos. 4th-ranked Mustang improving to 24-3. Union closes out in their best season ever at 20-6. And again, it was quite a ball game. We had 3 ties. We had 5 lead changes. Mustang had an 8-point lead in the first half. Took it into the dressing room at 7. Again, up by 8 with the 5-minute mark in the 3rd period, and that's when really Union came to work, JV, and they closed it. In fact, Mustang only had 4 baskets in the last 13 minutes of the game, but they got some key free throws down the stretch and made it count.
They really did get some key free throws down, but I think the most significant part was the fact that the Union just couldn't quite cope with the height that Mustang brought in here at the Mabee Center, and I know Bob Cleveland was concerned about that before the game. It proved to be reality in the 4th period, but yet you can't do anything but put praise on the backs of the Union players because they had a great season.
They really did. Had a great season and great last 2 seasons making it to the state tournaments. We'll take a look at some of the action and take a look at a junior that will probably be the most recruited player in the state next year in 6'4" Chris Hayes. He had a great season, had a great ball game, and he drains the 3 there to cut it to 4 with 57 seconds left as Mustang went on a 12-0 run at that point, and then he brought him back along with Eshelman, and there are his stats, and his player of the game plaque will be coming his way, and the school will receive a larger plaque for their trophy case courtesy of All-American Trophy here in Tulsa. Hayes with 19 points and 4 rebounds in the ball game, and he was challenged all night as he hit a season average. He worked hard for his 19 points. So the Union Redskins close out at 20-6. Norman defeating Sapulpa, and Washington also losing to Edmond in the 5A tournament. So that means the only team from the eastern side of the state in 5A boys still alive are the Bruins of Bartlesville as they'll try to defend their state championship. We can tell you that the McLean girls in Class 4A have won a game in overtime over Ardmore 64-60. So our next game this weekend will be following the McLean girls, and hopefully Luther Pegues can have the Lady Scots back to the state finals where we had them last year on United Artists Cable. So we'll have a semifinal game coming up for you later this weekend on United Artists Cable as the McLean girls will be our next participant as the state tournament rolls on this weekend. For J.B. Haney, Don King, thanks for joining us from the Mabee Center on United Artists Cable.
Good show, lad.